Welcome back to the Prairie Shepherd. My name is Ben. I'm here with Grim, and what we're talking about today is it your dog's responsibility to protect your house, and what does that come with? So stay tuned because we're going to go into this deep discussion. Yes, it is absolutely the job of the dog to protect the home. But there is different types of protecting the home. Now, the best case scenario is the defense of the home, for where the dog doesn't have to go after the intruder, which is a great thing to have if they do break into the home. But we have to recognize something. Our dogs are not superheroes. It's not necessarily their job to protect us in that way all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, depending on the situation, it can be not the best case scenario for a dog. So let's say somebody breaks into your house. They know you have a dog. So odds are they're going to be carrying some sort of weapon. I wouldn't want them to use that on the dog. Even though my dog is going to want to protect me because that's its instincts and what it's going to try to do. And sometimes you can't avoid those types of things. Majority of the time, you don't have control over those types of things, but it can put your dogs in harm's way. So before we get to that point, here are some things that we can do to try to offset the situation from happening in the beginning. Well, the first thing that we can do is teach our dog the command to bark. Some say talk. I use the word alert. And when I ask my dog to alert, I expect it to bark. When people come over to the house and they knock on the door, I expect the first thing for my dog to do is to go crazy with barking. And if you've ever heard a German Shepherd bark when an intruder comes to the door or somebody's just simply knocking or anything, you know that bark is a very intimidating bark. So the first thing that I do is get my dog to bark whenever somebody's coming to the door, whenever somebody passes by the house. This is a way that he's alerting me, like, hey, there's somebody on the premises that we just don't want them here. So the next thing that I do is I make sure that my dog understands good people from bad people. The people that I would find suspicious, my dog needs to find them suspicious as well. So when my dog does see somebody acting out of order, maybe with a hood on, and you could practice this with friends, always be careful. But, you can practice having your dog bark at people that have what you would call suspicious features. People who are kind of sulking, stalking, have their hood up, those types. With a mask on, which it seems like there's a lot of youth now running around with masks that they call poo shiesties. And a lot of times it's not just innocent. I just have to say, a lot of times it's not just innocent. And some people do mean to cause harm to others. So getting your dog to be alert about those things can really benefit you and your dog, because danger comes not just in the home, but it also comes on the street as well when you're walking your dog, when people feel like they, have something to gain. So making sure that your dog is aware of situations. Now, how do you do this? How do you teach your dog the difference between friend and the difference between foe? Well, that comes with socialization. The more you socialize your dog and have it interact with people, other animals, children, those types of things, it's going to make that dog better around those people. It's going to make that dog be able to assess a threat. It'll know when, okay, well, this is how people act when they're happy with you. This is how people act that aren't so friendly. They seem kind of, not what I'm used to. I'm used to being able to play with people, and these people don't seem to be that way. So that kind of helps the dog understand the difference between a friend and a foe and a threat. I had one of my friends over one time. I had Grim, running around the yard. He was minding his own business. He was all the way across the yard. Well, I was teaching my friend some martial arts one day, and I swung at him the entire time when I was teaching and I was just instructing. And then the one time that I instructed him to swing at me so I can, show him how to punch properly and do those basics, all of a sudden, before I knew it, Grim had already ran across the yard to confront him about this and jumped up and growled at him a little bit and kind of nipped, So he understood, he didn't understand that we were practicing, but he understood, like, okay, this is an aggressive situation to me. And it was the first time he's ever seen me do that. So I was like, man, I'm gonna put him up in the house. But he was protecting me, He was like, this is not what I'm used to seeing. I'm not used to seeing two people be aggressive towards each other. And he immediately was like, no, this is not something that we have over here. So he intervened. Dogs know this. Dogs can think, they have discernment, they understand, and they know situations. They know what doesn't seem right to them. So putting them in those situations, social situations, can help you understand and gauge, like, okay, this is how my dog's going to react, but I know that he's going to react when it's time for him to react. Now, that being said, that alert command is definitely great. We'll see if we could get Grim to do it right now while I'm just playing around on the camera. Grim, alert. Alert. He's playing with the stick. He's like, nah. But, second thing, when we're doing these and teaching our dogs to alert, that's going to cause your dog to, when people come over, it's going to alert you to the situation. Okay, it's going to alert you so you understand that somebody is either near or, in worst case scenario, trying to come into your home or just stalking around your property. Your dog's going to alert you to that. And German Shepherds already have a natural, instinct about them that they want to protect what's in the yard and what's around the house. And they're naturally wary about things that just aren't familiar to them in general. Okay. So it's a good thing, encourage your dog to bark when people come around. Encourage your dog to alert you to sounds and things that it finds that just aren't right and familiar to the environment. You're going to notice if you just bought a German Shepherd or you're just now living with one, they will check your bags when you come home. They will check the things around the yard. If something is new in the yard, they will investigate. They will come up to you and they will investigate. So that's what you should expect, and that's exactly their job, and they're doing exactly what they want. But we also have to recognize that our dogs aren't superheroes, and if the situation is deadly enough, your dog can be putting itself into harm's way. So not only should you be teaching your dog to protect the home by alerting you, but you also should have something in your home that can protect your home, your family, your children from being a potential victim to an unsavory circumstance. Whether that's protection or, something, home security system. I personally recommend that you have all three. Have your dog, have your home security system, and have you some sort of protection. That way, in the unlikely event that it does happen, you're very prepared for it when it comes. But we do have to recognize. So there was a story of a German Shepherd when somebody had hopped the White House fence and he had went and attacked the person latched onto him, and the guy pulled out an object and started to beat the dog. Well, the story, I think, went that the guy ended up crippling the dog. He ended up not being in service anymore, but the dog protected the place and kept it safe, did his job, and he wasn't able to go any further in that situation. So, good thing. And that's the dog's job in that situation. Good thing, protected, did exactly. Dog's job is not to be a gun. It's not to be a tool that you send after people. And depending on the situation, there can be consequences for the dog for biting, especially if it misinterprets the situation. So getting your dog to just, be scared and worried about situations all the time is not a good thing. Now, that's the flip side of the coin. How do you do that? How do you make a dog that ends up doing something that you don't want it to do and making a mistake? Well, you do that by doing the opposite, and that's not socializing your dog. When you don't socialize your dog, in a dog like a German Shepherd, it can cause that dog to be more aggressive in situations that don't require it to be aggressive. So you prevent the dog from being pet by people, you prevent the dog from going around other children, and you prevent the dog by going around other animals. And what this is going to do is make it so the dog lacks social awareness and social intelligence. It's just like in children. If you shelter a kid and keep it away from other children, other adults, other people, it's in the child's entire life, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have an under-socialized child. I mean, think about what COVID-19 did to kids. Really think about that. A lot of them didn't get an opportunity to socialize with other children, to socialize with people at school in a way different way than a lot of us grew up. And I wonder what type of effect that has on kids, not being able to be around people. It's the same with animals. Animals need the opportunity to socialize. When you have a cat at home and you have a dog, that dog gets socialized to that cat and it builds their relationship. But when you prevent them from being around each other and you try to seclude living things from each other, what happens is they don't know how to interpret the situation, and what's different from them becomes scary. And that's something that we don't never want. We don't want that with our animals because it can cause a situation to be dangerous. So since this dog hasn't seen people in a while, it becomes more aggressive and more wary of people. It doesn't understand what's a good situation to be in and what's a bad situation. It kind of blurs the lines. Everybody becomes a threat. I have a story. This is somebody that I know. They had 2 German Shepherds. They ended up losing their dogs because they just never socialized the dogs. And one day the dogs were in the yard. A child came into the yard. The dog did what it thought it was supposed to do and protect the yard from the child. And both the dogs ended up biting the kid. And they ended up having to put those dogs down. Terrible situation. Because a lot of times when a dog ends up biting someone, the option for having that dog go to a shelter is minimal. Because the shelter doesn't want dogs that are aggressive, that end up biting people. And people don't want dogs that are aggressive, that end up biting people. Especially families that are looking for a dog to adopt. German Shepherds already get quite a bad reputation for being aggressive dogs. And so do a lot of other large breed dogs. We just have to socialize our dogs. That's going to protect your home. That's going to protect your dog around other people. And that's going to keep your dog and you out of legal hot water dealing with situations that can definitely be avoided. This has been from the Prairie Shepherd. This is Grim. He's running up. And peace.